Shalom and blessings, Boker Tov, or now it's afternoon, I guess, but I just said good morning in Hebrew. I love you all, and I want to continue on with our lessons from the book of the Shaymayim, the book of the heavens. And this is a collection of the books from Scripture that they're the lost books. They're the books. Some of them are part of the Sefer, and some of them they left out of the Sefer. I noticed when I talked to one of my sisters in Yahuah that her Sefer is like 3,000 something pages long. And if you guys didn't hear me do this explanation in my other video, I just wanted to explain again. My Sefer only has 1,700 something pages. So I believe they've split up some of the scriptures, and they took some of the ones from the Sefer and they put them in here, plus the ones they didn't include in the Sefer, they put in all of these extra books, like this, and like the book of Yahuah, which is the book of the fathers. There's 10 of these. So, I hope you guys enjoy this. Enjoy this lesson. I am going to continue on where we left off with First Enoch. Okay, here we go. We are on First Enoch 11. And in those days I will open the store chambers of blessing, which are in heaven, or in the Shaymayim. I may cause them to descend upon earth, or descend upon the Eretz, and upon all the works and labor of man. And truth and peace shall associate with the sons of men all the days of the world in every generation. 12. Before all these things, Enoch was concealed, nor did any one of the sons of men know where he was concealed, where he had been, and what had happened. He was wholly engaged with the Kodesh ones, and with the watchers in his days. Enoch, was blessing the great Yahuah and King of Peace. And behold, the watchers called me Enoch the scribe. Then she's laying her head on me. Then Yahuah said to me, Enoch, scribe of righteousness, go tell the watchers of heaven, or Shaymayim, who have deserted the lofty sky, and their Kodesh everlasting station, who have been polluted with women, and have done as the sons of men do, by taking them to themselves women, and who have been greatly corrupted on the earth. That on the earth they shall never obtain peace and remission of sin, for they shall not rejoice in their offspring. They shall behold the slaughter of their beloved, shall lament for the destruction of their sons, and shall petition forever, but shall not obtain mercy and peace. 13. Then Enoch, passing on, said to Azazel, You shall not obtain peace. A great sentence is gone forth against you. He shall bind you. Neither shall relief, mercy, and supplication be yours on account of the oppression which you have taught, and on account of every act of blasphemy, tyranny, and sin, which you have discovered to the children of men. Then departing from him, I spoke to them all together, and they all became terrified and trembled, beseeching me to write for them a memorial of supplication, that they might obtain forgiveness, and that I might make the memorial of their prayer ascend up before the Elohim of heaven, or Shaymayim, because they could not themselves thereafter address him, nor raise up their eyes to heaven on account of the disgraceful offense for which they were judged. Then I wrote a memorial of their prayer and supplications for their ruachoth, for their spirits, for everything which they had done, and for the subject of their entreaty they had, that they might obtain remission and rest. Proceeding on, I continued over the waters of Dan, which is on the right to the west of Chermon, reading the memorial of their prayer until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions appeared above me. I fell down and saw a vision of punishment, that I might relate it to the sons of heaven and reprove them. When I awoke, I went to them. All being collected together, stood weeping in Albel Seal, which is situated between Lebanon and Senir, with their faces veiled. It says on the bottom, near Damascus, with their faces veiled. I related in their presence all the visions which I had seen in my dream, and began to utter these words of righteousness, reproving the watchers of the Shaymayim, or watchers of the heaven. Chapter 14. This is the Sefer, or the Sefer of the words of righteousness, and of the reproof of the watchers, who are from eternity, who belong to the world. You can find this also in Genesis 6:4, eternity, or watchers who are from eternity. It doesn't say watchers. It says who belong to the world or who are from eternity. And it says, see Bereshit or Genesis 6:4. According to that which he who is Kodesh and great commanded in the vision, I perceived in my dream that I was now speaking with a tongue of flesh, and with my breath, which all Elohim has put into the mouth of men, that they might converse with it, and understanding with the heart, as he has created and given to men the power of comprehending the word of understanding. So has he created and given to me the power of reproving the watchers, the offspring of the Shaymayim, or the heaven. I have written your petition, and in my vision it has been shown to me that what you request will not be granted you as long as the world endures. Judgment has been passed upon you. Your request will not be granted you. From this time forward, never shall you ascend into Shaymayim. He has said that on the Eretz he will bind you, as long as the world endures. But before these things you shall behold the destruction of your beloved sons. You shall not possess them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Neither shall you entreat for them, not for yourselves, but you shall weep and supplicate in silence. The words of the Sefer, which I wrote. A vision thus appeared to me. Behold, in that vision, clouds and a mist invited me. Agitated stars and flashes of lightning impelled and pressed me forwards, while winds in the vision assisted my flight, accelerating my progress. They elevated me aloft to the Shaymayim. I proceeded until I arrived at a wall built with stones of crystal. A tongue of fire surrounded it, which began to strike me with terror. Into this vibrating flame I entered, and drew nigh to a spacious habitation built also with stone of crystal. Its walls, too, as well as pavement, were formed with stones of crystal, and crystal likewise was the ground. Its roof had the appearance of agitated stars and flashes of lightning. And among them were cherubim of fire, and their heaven was water. A flame burned around its walls, and its portal blazed with fire. When I entered into this dwelling, it was hot as fire and cold as ice. No trace of delight or of life was there. Terror overwhelmed me, and a fearful shaking seized me. Violently agitated and trembling, I fell upon my face. In the vision I looked, and behold, there was another habitation more spacious, every entrance to which was open before me, erected in a vibrating flame. So greatly did it excel in all points in glory, in magnificence, and in magnitude, that it is impossible to describe to you either the splendor or the extent of it. Its floor was on fire, above were lightnings and agitated stars, while its roof exhibited a blazing fire. Attentively I surveyed it, and saw that it contained an exalted throne, the appearance of which was like that of frost, while its circumference resembled the orb of the brilliant sun, and there was the voice of the cherubim. From underneath this mighty throne, rivers of flaming fire issued. To look upon it was impossible. One great in glory sat upon it, whose robe was brighter than the sun and whiter than snow. No angel was capable of penetrating to view the face of him, the glorious and the effulgent. nor could any mortal behold him. A fire was flaming around him. A fire also of great extent continued to rise up before him, so that not one of those who surrounded him was capable of approaching him. Among the myriads of myriads, it says 10,000 times 10,000s, so that's a lot, who were before him. To him, Kodesh consultation was needless. Yet did not the sanctified who were near him depart far from him, either by Lila or by Yom, by night or day. Nor were they removed from him. I also was so far advanced with a veil on my face and trembling. Then Yahuah with his own mouth called me, saying, Approach here, Enoch, at my Kodesh word. And he raised me up, making me draw near even to the entrance. My eye was directed to the ground. 15. Then addressing me, he spoke and said, Hear, neither be afraid, or, O righteous Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, approach here and hear my voice. Go say to the watchers of heaven, or watchers of Shaymayim, who have sent you to pray for them. You ought to pray for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have you forsaken the lofty and Kodesh Shaymayim, which endures forever, and have lain with women, and have defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, have taken to yourselves women, have acted like the sons of the earth, and have begotten Nephilim. It was the offspring of the fallen angels sleeping with human women. You being spiritual, Kodesh, and possessing a life which is eternal, have polluted yourselves with women, have begotten in carnal blood, have lusted in the blood of men, and have done as those who are of flesh and blood do. These, however, die and perish. Therefore have I given to them women, that they might cohabit with them, that sons might be born of them, and that this might be transacted upon earth. But you from the beginning were made spiritual, possessing a life which is eternal, and not subject to death forever. Therefore I made not women for you, because being spiritual, your dwelling is in the Shaymayim, or in heaven. Now the Nephilim, who have been born of the Ruach and of flesh, shall be called upon earth evil Ruachoth, and on earth shall be their habitation. Evil Ruachoth shall proceed from their flesh, because they were created from above, from the Kodesh watchers, was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil Ruachoth shall they be upon earth, and the Ruachoth of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the Ruachoth of heaven shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial Ruachoth, who are born on earth. But the Ruachoth of the Nephilim are like clouds, which shall oppress, corrupt, fall, content, and bruise upon earth. They shall cause lamentation. No food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed, and shall rise up against the sons of men and against women, for they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. Chapter 16. And as to the death of the Nephilim, wheresoever their Ruachoth depart from their bodies, let their flesh, that which is perishable, be destroyed before the judgment. Thus shall they perish until the day of the great consummation of the great world. A destruction shall take place of the watchers and the impious. Let their flesh be without judgment. Their flesh shall be destroyed before the judgment. That's what it says for impious. And now to the watchers who have sent you to pray for them, who in the beginning were in the Shaymayim. Say, in Shaymayim have you been secret things, however, have not been manifested to you, yet have you known a reprobated mystery, and this you have related to women in the hardness of your heart, and by that mystery have women and mankind multiplied evils upon the earth. Say to them, never therefore shall you obtain peace. Chapter 17. They raised me up into a certain place where they, the angels, were like the appearance of a burning fire, and when they pleased, they assumed the likeness of men. They carried me to a lofty spot, to a mountain, the top of which reaches to Shaymayim. And I beheld the receptacles of light and of thunder at the extremities of the place where it was deepest. There was a bow of fire and arrows in their quiver, a sword of fire and every species of lightning. Then they elevated me to a babbling stream, and to a fire in the west, which received all the setting of the sun. I came to a river of fire which flowed like water, and emptied itself into the great sea westwards. I saw every large river until I arrived at the great darkness. I went to where all of flesh migrate, and I beheld the mountains of the gloom, which constitutes winter, and the place from which issues the water in every abyss. I saw also the mouths of all rivers in the world, and the mouths of the deep. Chapter 18. I then surveyed the receptacles of all the winds, perceiving that they contributed to adorn the whole creation, and to guard the foundation of the earth. I surveyed the stone which supports the corners of the earth. I also beheld the four winds, which bear up the earth, and the expanse of the Shaymayim. And I beheld the winds occupying the exalted sky, arising in the midst of Shaymayim and of Eretz, and constituting the pillars of heaven, or the Shaymayim. I saw the winds which turn the sky, which cause the orb of the sun and of all the stars to set, and over the earth I saw the winds which support the clouds. I saw the path of the angels. I perceived at the extremity of the earth the expanse of heaven above it. Then I passed on towards the south, where burnt both by day and night 6 mountains formed the glorious stones, 3 toward the east and 3 toward the south. Those which were toward the east were of a variegated stone, one of which was a margarite, and another of antimony. Those toward the south were of red stone. The middle one reached to heaven like the throne of Elohim, a throne composed of alabaster, the top of which was of sapphire. I saw too a blazing fire hanging over all the mountains. And there I saw a place on the other side of an extended territory where waters were collected. I likewise beheld terrestrial fountains, deep in the fiery columns of heaven. And in the columns of heaven I beheld fires which descended without number, but neither on high nor into the deep. Over these fountains I perceived a place which had neither the expanse of heaven above it, nor the solid ground underneath it. Neither was there water above it, nor anything on wing, but the spot was desolate. And there I beheld 7 stars, like great blazing mountains, and like Ruach, entreating me. Then the angel said, This place, until the consummation of Shaymayim and Eretz, will be the prison of the stars and the host of heaven. The stars which roll over fire are those which transgressed the commandment of Elohim before their time arrived, for they came not in their proper season. Therefore was he offended with them and bound them until the period of the consummation of their crimes in the secret year. 19. Then Uriel said, Here the angels who cohabitated with women appointed their leaders, and assuming many forms, made men profane and caused them to err, so that they sacrificed to devils as to Elohim. For in the great day of judgment with which they shall be judged until they are consumed, and their women also shall be judged, who led astray the angels of the Shaymayim, that they might salute them. And I, Enoch, I alone saw the likeness of the end of all things, nor did any man see it as I saw it. Chapter 20. Those are the names of the angels who watch. Uriel, one of the Kodesh angels, who is over clamor and terror. Raphael, one of the Kodesh angels, who is over the Ruach of men. Raguel, one of the Kodesh angels, who inflicts punishment on the world and the luminaries. Michael, one of the Kodesh angels, who is over mankind, virtue, commands the nations. Serachiel, one of the Kodesh angels, who is over the Ruach of the children of men that transgress. Gavriel, one of the Kodesh angels, who is over the serpents, over paradise, and over the cherubim. Okay, next time I will be starting at 1 Enoch 21, and I always try to read 10 chapters of it, so I'll read 10 chapters of it for you next time. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope you guys learned some new stuff. I certainly did. This is my first time reading Enoch, so I'm just happy I get to share it with you guys. Baruk haba b'Shem Yahuah. I love you all. Shalom.